and it's a real pleasure to be here again, and I'm honored to be on the same panel with Mr. Kravetz. When Barry asked me if I would come and speak about this subject, he said the subject was, should government subsidize public radio, TV, and the arts? And I said, wow, what a short speech I'm going to give. Yes. But there's a reason for it. And I think I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, Americans agree that the government arts funding, in a way that women in the old Greek joke agree about food at a wedding. It's terrible. And such small portions. Bostonians are no different. Typically, we either want to abolish the National Endowment for the Arts, or the Mass Cultural Council, or they believe that public arts funding should be dramatically increased because the arts cannot survive in a free market. One comment that I hate to hear, and you sort of brought this up, is the comment of, hey, why should my tax dollars go to things that I don't want, or I don't want to go to? Just let those who want to go pay for it. How blatantly short-sighted that is. Mostly a Republican idea. Yeah, I'm a Democrat, I'm sorry. Few would deny that Boston and Massachusetts creates a number of arts organizations and consumes that art of a quality and quantity comparable to that of any other state. But is this despite of or because of the local and state's meager direct government funding of the arts? Even the major institutions, the Huntington Theater Company, the Williamstown Theater Festival, and I'm going to talk a lot about theater because that's what I do. But you can you take this and put it into other arts forms as well. And the Boston medium-sized theater triumvirate of the Lyric Stage, New Repertory Theater, and Speakeasy Stage Company find themselves in situations where they have to create commercial hits in order to fund the ambitious or the out-of-the-ordinary artistic project. It's kind of like, you know, at one point in the discussion about public television, they said, well, you know, there's the A&E network and there's Bravo. You know, they'll take up for public television. A&E. The major show on A&E is Storage Wars. The major program on the Bravo channel.
Jersey.
Well, no, that's not. That's another station. No, the major one. Anything that has Housewives of. You know, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I want to see them clean their apartments. However, the arts in Boston, according to a study made in the late 80s and early 90s by an organization that I happen to be part of, which was looking at Boston having a cultural district, has an economic impact greater than all of the professional sports teams combined. While this may push the bounds of credulity, one really should look at the arts' impact over the course of a year compared to the seasonal sports team, especially when they're not in the playoffs.
Or playing at all.
Or playing at all. Oh yeah, you're a basketball fan. The economic impact of the arts in Massachusetts is approximately $4.2 billion, yes, billion dollars. Over 36,700 jobs were supported, or are supported, and over $1.1 billion was paid in salaries. Now, admittedly, the salary cap of the New England Patriots and the Boston Red Sox probably exceeds that, but the local artist is more likely to stay in the Boston area a little longer than, let's say, you know, Albert Hainsworth, Jonathan Papelbon. And what is the tax impact on $1.1 billion? But beyond the economic impact, there's also the effect on the quality of life of a city. For instance, when deciding whether a company is going to go to a city or not, They look at different cities of equal standing and say, which one has more arts? Why? Because that's what their employees are looking for. They want to create a better quality of life. In this way, cultural offerings in a city may attract additional sources of revenue, contribute to the overall economic vitality of an area, and thus arts and culture have a subtle but important economic impact on the development of cities. Arts and cultures also have economic impacts beyond attracting new businesses to the area. You know, one of the big buzzwords in my industry is cultural tourism. And it's a great thing. You know, the western part of the state, the Berkshires, really have a great hold on this. You know, that the kind of tourism that, you know, cultural tourists impact the economy more than other travelers, because they're generally more affluent, stay longer in an area, and spend more. That tourism helps to drive local economies. You know, in Massachusetts, as I was saying, the Berkshires, with the myriad of cultural organizations that call that area home, has embraced this idea more than any other area in the state. Indeed, when you mention the Berkshires, it's almost synonymous with Tanglewood, the Williamstown Theater Festival, or Mass MoCA. Recently, there was an advertisement for Massachusetts tourism on, and, well, you know, the viewer, well, at least in this case, me, comes away with 3 reasons to come to the Boston area. The Boston Red Sox, lobsters, and the Citgo sign. Because that's what was shown. That's what was focused on. And yes, that advertisement was paid with Massachusetts government monies. In addition, there's an educational value to the arts, which people, you know, sometimes toss aside. Social behaviorist Shirley Bryce Heath of Stanford University, and she's not an arts researcher, she is a behavioral scientist, was among the first to study the arts in a broader context of after-school programs like the Girl Scouts and sporting events and things of that kind of programming. She was surprised to find out that it was the art students who dramatically outperformed their peers in significant ways and who are more than 8 times more likely to graduate than students without the art experience. Academics notwithstanding, the arts nurture healthy communities, and not just through links between the creation of cultural districts and crime reduction, such as what has happened in Boston in Lower Washington Street. I don't think I have heard it called the combat zone in 3 or 4 years, at least, since, you know, Emerson College moved into that area. A recent study proves that high school seniors who participated in the creation of theater are 40% less likely to tolerate racist or other hate behaviors than kids who are not theater participants. A New York Times feature during the aftermath of the Columbine shootings reported that students reportedly said the only place where they felt a sense of community, where the cliques lost their power, and the disenfranchised felt welcome, was where? The Performing Arts Center. Today, Boston's theater world is defined not only by the great roadhouses and the theater district, where not 20 years ago, Boston was still considered the great tryout town, nor by the significant institutions like the Huntington Theater or the American Repertory Theater, but by a dense network of small ensembles and groups dedicated to community building and social action. Companies such as the Theater Offensive, whose work provokes vibrant discussion about the realities of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the Boston area, and the new exhibition room that produces new work with local artists from a variety of media that attracts diverse audiences with low to no ticket prices by engaging in the contemporary socio-political issues that are smart and funny. This summer they're going to produce a new work currently called the Zombie Double Feature. Should be fun. And yes, lest I lose my own job, the Lyric Stage Company produces award-winning theater, and we're very happy with that. But it also brings to the theater students, not at the 10:30 student matinee, but as part of a regularly scheduled performance, so that those students, mostly from the inner city, come and enjoy theater with an audience that wants to be there, that pays to be there, so that those students start to understand that the arts are something that you go to not just to get out of class, but because you want to go. So for these reasons, among others, those of us who work in the arts can now stand proudly and confidently in front of civic leaders and government officials and say, if you care about economic prosperity, you must care about the arts. If you care about educational achievement for your children, you must care about the arts. And if you care for our harmonious race relations and a more inclusive, cooperative society, you must care about the arts. And yet, the National Endowment for the Arts, which is constantly under attack, spends a measly $200 per capita for its funding. Local governments spend less than $10 per student for arts education. The Mass Cultural Council has a budget that is a shadow of what it was less than 10 years ago. And the city of Boston, unlike any major city government in the United States, makes no direct funding grants to the arts other than the state-funded Boston Arts Council. So what of the future? I want you to consider for a moment Boston without theater, without small music groups, without the BSO, without the MFA. What's left? High tech, WBUR. But what's left? Not much. It would be simple for me to stand here and say, go out and vote. Or, support the arts, support more funding, or be involved with your local school's arts program. Most of you are doing that to no avail. So what do we do? Well, I think what we have to do is it's imperative that you continue to support the local gallery, the local music group, or as Barry does with the Lyric Stage Company, the local theater company. You need to be more involved as a board member, an advocate for the organization, or something more than just a patron. And what does that mean? Make a contribution, go to your company to make sure that they're funding the arts, and make sure that that company speaks to the government and says, why are the arts important to them and to you? When that happens, then the power of the ballot becomes real. And we need not occupy anything in Boston but the theaters, galleries, and concert halls that add to the fabric of the city. So yes, should government subsidize public radio, TV, and the arts? Certainly. Are they? Not as much as I would like, and I'm not ambivalent about it. I think they should do it. They should do it because the arts in a society, what do we remember about the ancient Greeks? The art. What do we remember about the Restoration in England? The arts. What do we remember about our society? Hopefully the arts. And hopefully the government on all levels will start, in some instances, and continue in others, supporting the arts. Thank you very much for giving me your attention and time. I stand on my soapbox, which is go to the theater. It's the best way to help support it, or go to an arts organization. Thank you very much.